Welcome to the Last Awakening Warriors podcast. I am your host, Joshua David, and I am here with Johnny, the Firewalker Walker. What is going on today?
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Not too much. Not too much. We have an exciting video for you guys today. It is the Mark of the Beast revealed.
I'm scared.
I have been so excited over the last week getting to this video. I can't contain myself sometimes because it's too good. This information is too good.
Should we say it? Should we say it?
What the mark is? That's what we're going to study tonight. That's the whole point of the video, Johnny.
No, this could be. Could be. Should we tell him?
Well, you're the one that normally says it, Johnny, so go ahead.
Here we go. This could quite possibly be our best video ever. Nope, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just saying. So you ready?
I definitely think it's going to be
It's gonna be
eyes
good.
wide open for some people.
Unless they like to keep their eyes shut on purpose, which a lot of people do. But let's give them a chance, benefit of the doubt. Somebody's going to hear this.
Yeah, and we hope it does open their eyes.
That's right.
So they can see with eyes to see and ears to hear.
Get a revelation about the study on Revelation. That's right. So how's your last week been?
My last week's been pretty good, man. It's starting new endeavors is always challenging, and it's always that first step, man, that I would say the flesh of this being here dreads. I personally, the being inside does not. So it's been a kind of a battle between those two this weekend.
Well, it's interesting that you...
New adventures.
The flesh thinks you're stepping off a cliff.
Oh, yeah. Everything's a cliff to it. It just wants to sit and, you know, lay in bed all flipping day and do nothing.
Right. So you had your battle of spirit versus flesh, and I had my own battle the last part of last week and over the weekend with the whole realization and putting into practice the thing that the Father's been showing us, you know, how your true self, as in your spirit that's within this flesh suit, knowing truth and seeing the things for what they are, as in, like, you know, our battle is not against flesh and blood. I had a pretty decent attack on me this past week, and my flesh wanted to lash out, come back at the person. And even though the person thought that they were fighting me, I was also fighting my flesh not to do the things it wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
I
to
mean, that's the
lash
whole part
out
of the walk,
and
right?
exactly. And it was,
It's about not entertaining the flesh.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And it was a pretty serious attack, you know, like I would say for me anyway. It hit home, you know, somebody close to me and stuff. Um, and they're battling their own stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You know, living in the flesh, and they think that they're attacking me, you know, the flesh, and it wasn't the case, you know. And so just, you know, go into some meditation, separate yourself from the circumstances, and and not, like you said, entertain the flesh and what it
Right.
wants.
Yeah.
And
And
I
it's not
told
an easy
Josh, like,
task.
no. And I didn't talk to Josh for a couple of days you know, when I finally did talk to him. And I told him, first thing I said, like, dude, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard not to be that person. And something you used to doing for, I just turned 44. So
Yeah. I started getting over that stuff, a few years back of, engaging people because,
yeah.
it never changes anything. So why engage them at all? And
Mm-hmm,
then when
mm-hmm.
we've come into this, it's like the other day, I'm getting my license, and we got the money from the government, and I got my
Right.
taxes returned on the same day.
Good day.
And yeah, I thought so. So
Mm-hmm.
I asked someone to take me to go get a car, go look at cars,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I killed Jesus or something in the room. Like, you
Yeah.
don't even
You
have a
guys.
license, and da 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 da. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just a week ago, you was telling me to go get a car. Now I got the money to go do it,
Yeah.
and I need to
And
ride
they
to
act
the
like
place
you,
because I don't have a car yet,
yeah.
And now all of
They
a
ask
sudden
if
it's
you,
like,
can I
huh?
have
What?
your, can I
It's like,
have your, can I have your firstborn child, please?
I'm like, okay, you guys wanted me to get my license, I don't know, for, most of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm getting them. And, now it's like an ordeal. Like, any other time, it would be, yeah, let's go look at the cars. Oh, huh. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. A lot of times family, we're both talking about family members, by the way, but a lot of times family, they just want a reason to gripe at you about. Just want something to gripe about. They think they want you to do this until you're doing it, and then all of a sudden they want to gripe about, you know, the process of you
Because it's
doing that.
not the
Like,
way they would do it.
mm-hmm.
Plain
Yeah,
and simple.
yeah,
It's not the way they would do it.
mm-hmm.
So now, since you're doing the things that they think they wanted you to do, now that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing them, then they don't want it, because now they're seeing the results of what they really wanted, and they don't want the results of that.
Sure. I know a lady I used to go to church with, and I hung out with her and her husband, and she prayed and prayed and prayed for years. I wish my husband would get saved and come to church. I wish he could save for church. He comes to church. He gets saved one night. He ends up starting to become a preacher. He's preaching church stuff, and she became completely miserable. She was happy, even though she always said she wanted her husband saved, wanted him in church with the rest of the family.
But it's
Finally
always on
happened.
their terms. See, this is the
Exactly.
evilness of prayer, because people are always praying out of the self, or out of their
Mm-hmm.
own ego, for someone else.
Yep.
Sorry, it's not.
She
That's not what
became
it get. That's not how things work.
she became so miserable,
This is
and
like, this is what it's called, like, drinking the bitter cup. You
yep,
finally
she
get what
became.
you want, and what you thought you wanted. Now you
Mm-hmm.
realized it's not how you believed it should have been.
Sure.
That you, the insanity that you created in your mind, how things were going to be, and was going to be this way, and was going to be all great and perfect, and everybody's going to love each other.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It comes and happens, and then it's not how you perceived it, and then this is terrible.
And it had to do with her being in the religion too. She was the pastor, one of the pastor's daughters, And it ended up getting so bad in the relationship, she cheated on him and then divorced him. And you know that don't go over good in the church. You know? So, you know, you got to come out of this flesh, come out from among them, be separate. Anyway.
Let's get into
interesting, enlightening week we've had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
On to the topic at hand.
We are in Revelations 13:16.
Mm-hmm.
It also forced all people. How many people were forced?
I think it said everybody there.
Small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands and on their foreheads.
Yeah.
So who received the mark?
Everybody that wasn't taken in the rapture. No, it was all.
Everyone received a mark.
Yep.
So that they could not buy, sell, unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast and the number of its name. Name there means character. So it's the character of the beast and the number of its character. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Verse 18. This calls for wisdom. Let anyone who has insight calculate the number of the beast. For it is a number of a man. That number is 666. John, did you calculate 666?
Why, when you're at the 6, 3 score and 6?
Yeah, 666.
Yeah, that's what they want you to do. It's what it's always been taught, right?
No, what I'm saying is, did you calculate that number?
No, I didn't calculate that.
And the number is of a man, right? It's his character. It's his name, right?
Yeah.
From the last verse, it's his character. It's the number of its name, the number of its character. But you didn't calculate the number of the beast. It tells you that the number, or a number, is 666. Exactly. But you didn't calculate it.
No,
calculate.
Why would you have to?
Calculate, right? Yeah, you do. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
If you have wisdom, you'll calculate that number, 666. How do you calculate 666?
Right. It's the funny thing is that it tells you if you have wisdom to calculate, but when telling you this number right afterwards, that's what everybody teaches.
Oh, I know. But I'm asking you, John, go ahead and calculate that number for us.
What do you mean calculate?
Well, how do you use a calculator?
You add things up.
Add 6, 6, and 6, John.
No.
Calculate the number, John.
18. Thank you. I knew you were going for something, but I was like, what is he going for? What's he with me?
That's it. You have to calculate that number, 666. So if you calculate that number, 666, it equals 18.
You have 18. Yep.
Well, that's another number, too. And you have to calculate that number as well.
Add that. 1 and 8 is
9.
9.
9.
And what is 9? What is 9, Josh?
9 in all ancient mysticism, religious doctrine forever is consciousness. No matter what religion, no matter if it's Judaism, no matter if it's early Christianity, no matter if it's Eastern mysticism, it does not matter. It is always consciousness.
Yep, it's your conscious.
So when you calculate 666 and then 1 and 8, and that gives you 9, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about the consciousness of a man. But this little verse goes a little deeper because the original number was not 666.
No.
The earliest manuscripts we have is 661.
1. Yep.
That's right. Not 666. 661.
Now, half the people listening to this, their head just blew up.
Probably.
Oh my
because,
gosh! What do you mean 661?
Well, if they've ever done any history, well, they haven't because they've listened to their pastor their whole life.
That's all the truth you need.
The
right?
original manuscripts, the earliest ones we have, say 661, not 666. But here's the key point. Whether it's 666 or 661, it's going to end up meaning the same thing, and we're going to show you why. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 and 1 is 13. 1 and 3 is 4.
Yep.
4 refers to the fourfold nature of man.
Yep.
This is key. One represents the consciousness. The other represents the fourfold nature. Well, one of those is the consciousness of man. So whichever number you decide to use, it's all going to come back to the same idea.
Yeah. It's your conscious.
So, we're going to look into now the fourfold nature of man.
While you're looking that up, it's good to point out to everybody that whenever you see numbers in the Bible, more than likely it's going to add up to your consciousness. When it's talking about Noah and the ark, 18 cubic, is showing the dimensions you're supposed to build the ark.
Here's the Revelation, the wall right here, 144 cubits.
Yep.
Well, that equals 9.
Yeah, 144,000 people reserved
144,000. Also 9, consciousness. So the character of a man is referring to consciousness. The character of God is also referring to consciousness. They're referring to the same thing. But 666 hertz and 144,000 hertz are two totally different consciousness.
Yep.
It's like the scale of a piano. The low note is different than the high note. So the character of 666 on a piano would be the low note, the lower self you, where the 144,000 would be the higher note you, the God you.
Yeah. So we're talking about, like we talked in other videos, the higher self, lower self, which is the evil part of you, which is the lower self, and the God aspect of you, the higher self, the upper room.
Yes. The upper room.
You're still pointing out that all this stuff happens within you. Everything in the Bible,
is within you. Everything in that book is about you and what happens inside of you.
Absolutely.
So, on someone asking us this, about this Revelations, and for those who...
was it Chris something that asked
Yes,
this?
I believe it was Chris something.
Okay, so this is a lot for you, Chris. We put some thought into this.
The word insight is mind. So the word insight, let him who has insight, let him understand, reason, the mind, the faculty of reasoning, the intellect.
Yep. Logical thought, critical thought.
When we go to the Greek, there we go. It says, let him count. And if you look at that word, it means to compute, calculate. I reckon.
Yep.
In earlier Judaism, they used stones to cast votes. Yep. So the word that means to calculate means a small, smooth stone or pebble. It's used for voting. Well, the interesting with that is that your pineal gland, when it's calcified, has a stone.
Yeah.
And the one who has understanding is the person who has removed the calcification from their pineal gland.
Or rolled the stone away from the tomb.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
This is what these things are talking about. When you remove the stone, the true self comes forward, your light, your single eye that Jesus told you about, the one that will light up your whole body, your mind's eye, your pineal gland. This is what someone who has understanding knows. When you have understanding, you understand what we just said about the mark of the beast, 666, and all that stuff. It's no longer a mystery. You know these things. Why? Because it's inside of you.
And what's interesting is that this isn't just Jesus that talked about this. The Hindus talk about this. Buddhists talk about this. And it's scientific even.
Everyone but the church knows this thing, knows these things.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the fourfold nature of man. And the mark of the beast being 661, which is the fourfold nature, and 666, which is consciousness. Those two things go together, and we're going to show you that in this. This is from the theosociety.org, and this is taken from a lady's book, and it's referring to. She's talking about the Zohar. The third element is nefesh, the vital breath, the lower human soul. Okay? It corresponds to the psyche of the Greeks. In Latin is the anima, or animea. The modern term is the lower mind. What we just told you about Revelation 17:8.
Anemia, it kind of sounds like enemy.
Or anime, yeah. Either one.
Yeah. I was thinking about enemy. Your lower self is your enemy.
Yeah, it is. Kama prana, with the breath of manas, mind, upon it, being closely associated with the physical body. It has no light of its own. This is when it talks about Satan comes as an angel of light, because he doesn't have any light of his own. He's using your light within you. It's the lower self.
And it's that soul portion, that breath that it talks about. Yahweh breathed that breath.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Its own. It is the throne of, I always forget how to pronounce this, Ruha, which rules and lights it and forms its crown. After death, the nefesh, or lower soul, this is key, remains in the grave below. It stays with this body because it's part of it. It's not real. It's not the real you. It's not the higher self breath.
Yeah. So what he's saying here, guys, is that everybody that's living out of the lower breath, the lower self, why you're afraid of things, you're afraid of death, is because this lower self knows that once this flesh dies, once this heart stops ticking, it knows it's done.
Yeah.
It knows it's done. That's why
this is the part of you that doesn't want to die.
Yeah, and
it's not physical that it doesn't want to die from. No. It doesn't want to die spiritually.
Yeah.
It doesn't want you to ascend.
And it's why that people that are in church and believe they're saved and they said the prayer and ask Jesus in their heart and all this stuff, they're still fearful of death because they're still living out of this lower self. They don't have true freedom and true liberty, and because they're not living out of the spirit, the higher self. Thank you. You looking something up? We get cut
Yeah,
off.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You're there. All right.
No,
Just
I'm
making
looking
sure.
at something.
Mm-hmm. Nefesh. Just remember when you say nefesh, sounds like flesh.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's attached.
Okay.
Like all
So,
these. Go ahead.
dum-dum-dum-dum. All right. So the next verse we're going to look at is when we're made from the dust of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed the breath of life into him, into his nostrils, and the man became a living being.
Mm.
The living being part of him is nefesh.
Yeah.
Right there in your own Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happens. Let me go. I think there's another verse, part of that verse I was going to look up real quick. Hold on. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Yeah. I knew I forgot something.
Mm-hmm.
This is something else I wanted to show too. Okay, so when God breathed the breath of life into you, the breath that he gave you was called where's the it's the life. I think it's the life. Nope. Did I get the wrong word? Oh, here it is. God gave you the neshama. He gave you that breath.
Mm-hmm.
But when he breathed into you, the man part of you, the lower part of you became a living being called nefesh.
Yeah.
It's a different breath.
Mm-hmm.
Fourfold nature of man. The highest element is nashashama, meaning breath, spirit, wind. This is the true self of you that was given to you by the Father. When that came into you, that existence, the lower self was created. The nashashama, this spirit or divine breath, is equivalent to the Greek punama, which means to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
This is the breath that animates the rest of the human being.
Yep.
It's not the nefesh. I just wanted to show that because this is also in the Zohar as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you was given the breath of animation into your body, the man part of you now that came into being, created his own nefesh, his own breath.
Mm-hmm.
And the man became a living being. So, in Luke, when Jesus tells you, whoever tries to keep their life will lose it, and whoever wants to lose their life will preserve it, the life that it's talking about here, the vital breath, the soul, the nefesh. And he also goes on and tells you that this is the very thing that you have to denounce.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want that preserved, you have to let it go.
You have to let it go. You have to stop living out of it. You have to denounce it because it's not the true self. The true self
No.
is the Nashashama, the higher.
Yeah. The upper room. It's where the Father resides, where your true
Yes.
spirit is. Yeah. Yeah.
This is also what it's talking about in Jude 1:6. And the angels who did not keep their position of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness and bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. The light that's in you that did not keep its first estate, the higher self, is your nefesh. This is what this is talking about here in Jude.
And this is the place where all your negative aspects of you come forth.
All the things that what they call it the
emotions.
Yeah, your emotions, your survival instincts to try to save yourself. In Genesis, also the breath that it talks about, it also talks about it being a wild beast.
Sure.
Just like in Revelation, the beast, the mark of the beast, is the breath of life that was given to you.
Me and Josh were talking about just before we started this, is that without you entering the kingdom and going to your higher self, the true spirit within you of the Father, you are roaming around here like an animal. You know, you have feelings, you have an appetite, you have a desire to do this, you have the desire to breed, you know, you got your physical, sexual, function and desires. You know, you got all these things that just like any other animal would have, you know, and you're basically no different than any other beast roaming the fields. It's not until you come into the kingdom, roll away the stone, allow the light to enter through your pineal gland, where you start receiving true wisdom, true understanding, and knowing who you really are, that you become something greater than any other animal roaming this place.
All right, so back here in Genesis, I want to show them this real quick. Breath of life. You click on life. It means alive or living. You go down to the Strong's. Exhaustive concordance. Age, alive. Appetite. Wild beast.
Imagine that.
Your mark.
Yep. So hopefully you guys are starting to see that what this mark is, this number. It's of consciousness. What consciousness are you of? Are you of the Christ consciousness, the upper self? Or are you of the Antichrist consciousness, this mark of the beast, the character of the Antichrist, which is the lower self? Anything that you see in the Bible, if you go into your bathroom and you're brushing your teeth in the morning, you look in the mirror, what do you see? Are you seeing a Christ-like person or an Antichrist-like person? There, which one are you living from?
Oh yeah, I did forget something, and I forgot about this because it's been about a week. I've been looking at other crap.
Yep.
The Nashashama isn't the highest one. It's still part of the body, but it's not the lower self.
Right.
This is what you have to reconnect with. Over the body and the three souls is a fourth. The supernaural soul, which is indescribable, unknowable. Everything is dependent upon it. It is the vital. It is the. It is veiled in a covering of exceeding brightness. It drops pearls, which are linked together like the joints of the body, and it enters into them and dismays through um um and it displays through them in energy.
Mm.
This is the light that's within you that we keep talking about in our other videos.
Yeah.
This is what you have to reconnect to. This is basically what they're talking about here is God.
Yeah. The true highest portion of you.
Yes.
The true highest portion. Yeah.
This is your Father you have to reconnect to.
Mm-hmm.
It and they are one, and there is no separation between them.
Mm.
It's the divine principle, protocol, form.
Mm-hmm. It's the difference between
it produces
just entering.
Okay, here this is the part where I was thinking the Nasha Shama and this was the same.
Yeah, I thought something else was out, but these words are so messed up.
I know, and I'm probably not even pronouncing these anything close to what they actually are. It produces the Nasha Shama. This super neural soul produces the Nasha Shama. The Nasha Shama is the reflection of the Father within you.
Yeah.
It is the reflection. And they are connected by a vital spiritual thread upon which the Nasha Shama aspires to rise to perfection, a perfection union to with its prototype, which is called the Shara. This is what it's talking about. This is the Father within you. The Nasha Shama is the reflection of that. That's the true you. But you have to reconnect with the Father when you open up your pineal gland and it receives light from your Father.
Yeah. And all this just goes back to all the different teachings, descending to heaven. In the Hindus, you got the chakras going up the ladder,
You had Jacob going up the ladder.
Yeah, Jacob going up the ladder, exactly. All this stuff and all the different teachings, it's all about the ascension of you. Yeah. And it's about you're conscious. Where are you living consciously at? And it's not just about entering the kingdom that is within you, but then rising above
all of it
to the highest point, which is
to get your crown,
which is light. Yeah, which is light, which is energy. And
but Jesus said, at least just find the kingdom.
Yeah.
Stop living out of the lower self. At least get there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now the next question most people are going to ask is, well, if we were given this breath by God, then how is this the mark of the beast? Well, we're going to show you.
All right. Let's do that.
This is Ephesians 2:2.
2:2.
As for you, you were dead in your trespasses and sin. This is prior to your own ascension. You were dead in your trespasses and sin. In which, the next verse, in which you used to live when you followed the way of this world. And of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. This is the angels from Jude that left their first estate. This is what this is referring to here when it talks about those who are of disobedient. They left their first estate. They left their higher self and went to the lower. And they have a ruler over them. Everyone that's ever read this will tell you this is the Antichrist. And it is. And now we're going to show you who the Antichrist is.
Now, mind you, when you left, real quick, when you left your first estate, this is when you were a child and you were just the higher self.
Do you remember when you became self-aware? Because prior to that point, you can't remember anything of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually around the age 5 for most people. Sometimes a little later, sometimes a little earlier, but usually around the age 5. You become self-aware, and you know you're going to kindergarten, coloring and stuff. But prior to that, you don't remember when you was 2, 3, 4 years old.
Nah. you were just love, and you didn't pay attention to
You were the higher self then. This is why Jesus told you to return as though you were a child.
And then
back to the kingdom.
To where it says that they're being ruled by the following the ruler of the air.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting into right here.
Who gave you that first breath? Then the finished portion, everybody, the church says their God is Yahweh.
Yes, and Yahweh's the one that gave you the breath that put you in this body.
And they will call him their father. That's what they say.
And Yahweh this is why. Because the prince of the power to air is the Antichrist, is Yahweh, and let's look at the word air.
Mm-hmm.
Air. The lower air we breathe. The lower air. The lower self of you. He's the ruler of the lower self of you. You already have his mark. He's caused everyone to take his mark, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave. You already have it. This is why when Jesus came, he told you, you're already condemned.
Yeah.
Because you already had the mark.
The church will tell you whether you confess Yahweh as the Father and your God, he is. Whether you confess him or not, he's the creator. He made you. He gave you life. He breathed breath into you, and they would confess it all day. They just don't realize who he is.
And this is also why in the Genesis, he told you from dust you came, dust you will return. Because that breath stays with the body. If you never ascend to the higher consciousness, back into the kingdom within you, that breath stays with this body. It will not be preserved. If you go into the kingdom, the higher self will preserve it.
Yeah. If you don't, you're not going to be remembered. The true Father is going to be like,
the true you will. The true you will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the lower self won't, because it's all imagination. This is a false prosado of who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part that's missed the mark. This is the error you have to rectify in your life at some point to be remembered. But the true you, the one you was when you were a child before you became self-aware, it's eternal.
Exactly.
It's just 100%. Like his Father.
Energy does not die.
Nope.
It's good stuff.
It is. It is good stuff. Let's see what else we got here.
And listen, if you're struggling with understanding what's being said, this is stuff that doesn't just come easily. That's why Jesus said all the time, he that hath an ear to hear, let him hear. Right? You gotta start setting alone, blocking out everything in this realm, this place, this earth. Block everything out and come into yourself. You know? Some people have a hard time with it. They get alone with themselves and they're like, oh, well, that's nothing. I'm just thinking. That's just my thoughts. Don't worry about that, right? Maybe a lot of times I believe, because I did it, we second guess. I was just daydreaming. Those people tell you, would you quit daydreaming? Yeah, Earth to John,
Yeah, notice that they say Earth, right? They don't say kingdom to John. They say earth. Lower
John,
self to John. What are you doing? Get back here.
And we're trained to pull ourselves out of, these times of reflection and contemplation and meditation. We've been taught not to ever do this because you're wasting time. You're just wasting time, they say. But these are great times. Me and Josh have been talking about it even before we came into all these new understandings and revelations from the Father. We used to do that stuff that we called daydreaming. Just stare off at a wall and get lost, in thought and reflection and stuff like that.
Not even thought.
Important stuff.
Not even here.
Yeah.
Not even here.
Yeah. And because since we're taught that that's a waste of time, that's not productive, and you notice kids that do that. And I even did that. Like, hey, where you at? Hello, wake up. You're like, what are you doing? And they're just being them. They're in the kingdom, right? They're growing right there.
Mm-hmm.
They're growing. They're being full of light, If you want to see how to practice getting back to the kingdom, watch your child. If you got kids, little kids, watch them.
I'm pulling up a verse real quick.
Yeah, you're good. If anybody's listening to this live, just like to say hello. Thanks for joining us. If nobody's listening to us live, then I'm talking to myself, and we're okay with that.
Then we say hello to those who might watch later, and
that's right. Make sure if you have any questions or comments, as always, put them in the comment section, and make sure to share.
This is Luke 14:26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his mother, his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brother, his sisters, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. The word life there. The vital breath, the soul, the lower you.
Yep.
And the word hate there. The word hate
it's
there
not hate.
Means to denounce. Right there. Hence, to denounce, to detest. You have to hate the lower self. You cannot love the lower self you. The one you are now. You have to hate it. You have to denounce it because it's not the real you. And once you denounce it, it will be separated from you and you will enter the kingdom.
And it ain't talking about hating your family and stuff like you think of in this world, how we talk about hate.
No, we're talking about their lower self.
Their lower self, exactly.
Because that's not really them either. What's the whole saying? The whole world's a stage, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's playing with the mask on.
Yeah, they were talking about, somebody was talking about today, things that they hate, is going, they're like, I'm just tired of having to go out and we're always wearing a mask. And I'm thinking to myself, lady, I was like, lady, even before these medical masks, to deal with the COVID, whatever, we've been wearing masks ever since we came into the self-awareness anyway.
Yeah.
Does a little child worry about, I got a little smudgy dirt on my face, this or that? No, they don't care about this because they know that this is just a facade anyway. Right? Like Jesus said, this
it's not even part of their process of thinking.
No, not at all. You get older, you're going to see anybody walking around with grease on their face or all messed up, No, I mean, we wear this fake mask all the time anyway. Was it Shakespeare or somebody said, like, somebody like that
I
says
think it
that.
was Shakespeare said,
Yeah,
the whole world's a stage.
the whole world is a stage, and we're all just actors.
Yep. And that's
You're all just acting
exactly
this
what it
role.
is.
Jim Carrey, the comedian, Jim Carrey, he talks a lot about this kind of stuff. I mean,
Same
I really
stuff.
think yeah.
And everybody thinks he's out of his mind. No.
Oh, yeah.
He's in his right mind.
Yep. He's starting to come in the kingdom if he's not already in the kingdom.
Right?
Some of the stuff he says, you just don't know unless you're there,
Man, I'm just telling you, man. If you don't understand now, going through the verses we went through and showing you that the lower self, the breath of life that was given to you when you became self-aware,
yep,
that's when you became a living soul, is when you became self-aware.
Yeah.
Isn't the beast, when it says it's the wild beast, it's the lower self.
Yeah.
I mean, we can even get into the chakras. The lower three chakras are the characteristics of the lower self man. Each one of them represents man. So the number of man is 6. There's 3 of them, 666. I mean, we can do this on numerous different levels. But we showed you in the Bible where it says it. Clear as day.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you to believe it or not. Because the reality is, the real you, the higher self you, is going to live on for eternity. And if you want the lower self you to go on to eternity too,
to be preserved,
then denounce it. Die to it, and it'll be preserved. That's what all this stuff is talking about in the Bible.
Yeah. It's what Jesus talked about all the time. It's what Krishna talked about, Buddha talked about, the Zohar, all these, astrology, even down to science, medical science, has all been talking about all these same things. And
2,000 years and people have been talking about the mark of the beast, and it's been staring them in the face every day they wake up.
Every time you look in the mirror, you're seeing all these things in the Bible right there in the mirror.
Yep. And
it's crazy is because whether it's science saying religion is stupid, whether it's religion saying science is stupid, whereas this religion saying that religion is stupid, it's all been about everybody that's in the know does their very best to segregate each other, right? We have the only truth. Everything else is ignorant. When you look at everything as a whole and see what's the common denominator, the things that parallel each other, then you start finding out the real truth. And all these different entities, all these religions, science, stars, Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, it all comes down to a simple truth. It's all in you.
Everything. It's all in you. Everything.
And we are not separated.
The stars of heaven are everything that happens in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything in there is happening within you too. So.
Yeah, and all you got to do is receive the ears to hear and the eyes to see. It's about your perception. Yeah. It's not about this physical world. It's what is within.
That's why Jesus said this body counts for nothing. That's why there's no mark that can go on you that can stop the life that's within you. It's eternal. Yeah. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you be absent from the body right now. Go within yourself right now. You're no longer present with this body or this world.
No.
When little kids are daydreaming and they're off in space somewhere, they're not present with their body.
No, they're not even
freaking hear you. They can't even hear you.
Because they're not here.
They're not here.
Literally, they're not here in this plane of existence. They're gone.
And trust me when I say this, me and Josh can testify to this right now. We do this right now again.
Yeah.
We're finding our way back to that place where we can just snap out and we're somewhere else. And when it's gotten you 30 some years or 40 some years of being stuck in this self-awareness, it's not the easiest thing to get back to, but the more like working out a muscle, the more you do it,
yeah,
the easier it gets.
that it does.
Yeah. And it's enjoyable times.
So this is why the Bible in the Old Testament says, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. The word weapon there is utensil.
Yep.
Or anything used to conquer somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
The flesh counts for nothing. There is no physical mark of the beast.
Yeah.
Except for the lower self.
Like Brother Jeremy said, he had the revelation one day. He said, whether it's a tattoo or implanted chip or whatever, he's like, if they're doing it to this body, which Jesus said the body counts for, flesh counts for nothing. He said, what could be done to this body that could cause any harm?
It's going to the grave anyway.
Or change, or could change any way your true spirit. And he's right.
Exactly.
Nothing can.
Nothing can, because the true spirit in you is going to leave when the lights go out in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the lower self is going to stay with his body regardless.
Yeah.
Unless you go within yourself and it gets preserved.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Like what I went through this past week and over the weekend. If the person that was coming against me got crazy enough to actually do something harmful to this body, which they thought they were waging war against this body, they could have did whatever they wanted to this body.
Yeah.
They could not touch my spirit. Couldn't touch it.
And this is why, Jesus talked about I'm the one who can pick this life up and lay it down at will.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what the Father's given me.
I was thinking real quick is about, the church teaches, they have to have a rapture. They want a rapture before the tribulation because during the tribulation, they're scared that they will lose their faith and take this mark because they think that it's actual physical mark.
Yeah.
And that they will be permanently defiled. They'll be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they have to believe they're going to get taken out of here beforehand. But if you realize that's all nonsense and it's all stuff that's happening within you.
Being caught up is the lower self
mm-hmm.
being preserved by the higher self. It's called being caught up.
Yeah. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the time. They're worried about, now they want you to take these vaccinations. Well, what if they try to implant you with the chip? What if listen, if the government wants you to take a vaccination, take the vaccination. Who cares?
Yep.
Everybody's like, well, should I get my kids vaccinated? It's showing, it's going to give health effects and certain stuff and this and that. It is what it is. Teach your kid about the kingdom. Right?
Your kids they have that choice. It's not mandatory that you get vaccinations.
Sure.
And if you don't, then you're going to have to homeschool your kids. Well, if you got the resources and stuff to do that, go ahead.
If that's what you decide, do what you will. Right. The big thing is if you're worried about your kid, teach them the truth.
Oh, imagine that.
Don't let them get caught up. No,
you're worried about some arbitrary thing that doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Don't let them get too caught up in the things.
What did Jesus say?
Jesus
said, if they ask you to go a mile, go 2 miles. If they ask for your coat, give them, or they ask for your shirt, give them the coat too.
Yeah.
Give them back whatever they want, because nothing in this life matters. That was the whole purpose.
They make a vaccination for this virus mandatory, and if you don't, there's penalties. I ain't getting penalized. They're not gonna lock me in a jail cell because I didn't take a shot. That's what they want.
It's so crazy because none of this crap even.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And we got people we used to listen to on YouTube.
Dave today. David Volz today, dude, was just.
Is he losing his mind? These people we've been noticing that we actually received truth from. We got revelation listening, things they said
we did
sparked. No, things they said sparked the truths we already had within us.
We did not get truth from them. It was already within us.
We ended up using them as a tool to help wake ourselves up. But now listening to them, they're stuck on these things.
In this life.
Fearful. They're fearful.
Yeah, and you can hear it in their voice, man. You can hear it.
You hear it in their voice. They're starting to fight against each other all the time now. There's just all kind of crazy weirdness going on. Listen, you think we're getting caught up in some stuff? Let us know. I say, call us out. We don't even care.
I'm not getting caught up in stuff. That's the whole point. I don't care enough.
Exactly. Yeah, and you got questions? You think that we're teetering on something? Like, go ahead and ask it. No problem with it. I feel this way about Josh. If he sees something, I want him to call me out.
I do every day.
Because I don't want. Yeah, he does. I don't want to be that person. I'm busy trying to continue to elevate.
Same here. Same here.
So always elevating.
Our pursuit isn't is to push or to help the other one elevate. Always.
Yeah.
There's no other purpose in life.
Yeah. And there's no pride in, I have achieved and, and this and that.
Yeah, because once you say you achieved, you think you have all, and you're complacent now. And
you're back to your lower self.
Yeah, basically.
You just bottomed out.
There's always more to learn, to understand.
Mm-hmm.
There's always more to be revealed and to be shown.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited for the next set of revelations. Once we started seeing these new things, we were talking to me and Josh and Cindy, and just like, I'm not content. This is amazing new revelations, but just content, digest these, share them with others, and move on to the next.
Well, Johnny, I'm good if you're good.
I'm always good, man. My spirit's always good. What are you talking about?
And I think this was the best one yet.
Could be. And hopefully everybody
So the mark of the beast is revealed, and it's you.
You.
Always has been. This is what you're supposed to conquer. Yourself. The self. The ego.
The beast. Yahweh. The devil. All of it. The Antichrist.
This is what it talks about when it says, lay down your life.
Mm-hmm.
Take up your cross and follow me.
Mm-hmm.
Lay down the self. Lay down this persona that you have. Take up your cross and follow him.
Yep. Resurrect the true self that's in you. Roll back the stone.
Roll back the stone. Unclog your pineal gland. Be the single eye.
Good too, man. I enjoyed this one. Good to get back on air.
Yeah, and as always, do the will of the Father.
Be best and be a blessing.
You. We are the last awakening warriors.
Unlocking the secrets of the universe.
Welcome to the
Unlocking the secrets
of the universe.
Oh no, I think I've lost my mind. I think I've lost it all. Oh no, I think I've lost my mind. I think I've lost control. Welcome to the awakening.
boom, 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 boom.